Hi, my name is Eliab, and today I'm going to give you a summary about the chapter 4 of our biology book that is called Ecosystems and Communities. The first part of this chapter, called Climate, tells us that weather and climate are both variations in the environmental conditions of a place, like temperature, but they are not the same thing. Weather is the variation of the day-to-day condition in the Earth's atmosphere, while climate is defined by the year after year patterns of temperature and precipitation in a specific place. Related to climate, there are variations in the environmental conditions over small distances that are called microclimate. Also, there are three important factors that affect the global climate: solar energy, latitude, and transfer of heat. Solar energy refers to the heat trapped in our atmosphere during the greenhouse effect. There is a phenomenon in which greenhouse gases reflect some of the solar energy that arrives to our planet and trap some of that energy that is transferred to heat into our atmosphere. Latitude refers to the climate zones that are polar, the coldest one that is closest to the North Pole and the South Pole, temperate, and tropical, that is the hottest, that is closest to the equator. And finally, we have transfer of heat, the interaction between winds and currents created by the unequal distribution of the sun's heat helped to create climate patterns by transferring heat and moisture. First, what is a niche? A niche is the range of biological and physical aspects in which an organism lives and the way it obtains what it needs to survive and reproduce. So there are three important interactions with the niche: resources in the niche, physical aspects in the niche, and biological aspects in the niche. But if we talk about niches, we have to talk about competition. And competition occurs when two organisms or two species want to have the same niche at the same time in the same moment, but they cannot. And this is called the competitive exclusive principle. Now let's talk about the consumers. There are two main relationships between consumers: predation and herbivory. Predation is when an organism feeds on other ones, captures and feeds on other ones, and herbivory is when an organism feeds on primary predators. So it is pretty important because the ones that feeds on other ones can change the size of different communities and populations. Now let's talk about keystone species. Keystone species are species that can cause a great damage or a great change in a community if they are there or even if they are not there. So now let's talk about the interactions between organisms. Any interaction or any organisms that live closely together, this relationship is called symbiosis, and symbiosis can be mutualism, parasitism, and commensalism. Mutualism but are benefit, in parasitism one is benefit but the other one is harm, and in commensalism one is benefit and the other is neither harm nor harm. Biomes are described in terms of abiotic factors like climate or soil type, and biotic factors like plant and animal life. Also, some people get confused and classify some regions as biomes even if they are not. For example, this usually happens with the mountain ranges and the polar ice caps, but they are not biomes because they are not easy to define in terms of a typical community. And there are at least 10 major biomes that are tropical rainforest, tropical dry forest, temperate grassland, desert, tropical grassland, temperate forest, temperate woodland, coniferous forest, tundra, and boreal forest. Aquatic ecosystems are affected by water depth, temperature, flow, and amount of dissolved nutrients. And the freshwater ecosystems can be divided into rivers and streams, lakes and ponds, and freshwater wetlands. There is a special kind of freshwater wetlands called estuaries that serve as nursery and spawning of a lot of ecologically and commercially important fish and shellfish species. And finally, ecologists divide the ocean by its depth, that can be phatic or aphatic zone, or by its distance from shore, in order to zone, coastal ocean or open ocean.